random product reviews. Today I'm going to be reviewing a handheld garment steamer. So for photography, as you can see, my backdrops, a lot of them are creased, and particularly the vinyl ones, I've really struggled with getting the creases out. So I'm hoping that this addition to my studio is going to help me to get those creases out and make my editing process a whole lot easier. Now, I've never used one of these steamers before, and this is the first time I'm opening it, so bear with me as I figure it out. So as you can kind of see there, it is quite top heavy, so just be careful when standing it up to make sure that it is quite solid, because you obviously don't want it falling over. There's a blue plastic film on the front which needs to be removed. Plug has a plastic cap. Obviously you need to remove that as well. You don't want to be sticking that in your plug sockets. Right, so this steamer comes with a little measuring cup, has all the mils on the side to tell you how much water you're putting in. It also comes with this little fabric type thing, so that's for doing any sensitive upholstery. It is quite easy to put on. It says hold it in one hand, so let's follow the instructions, and then you clip it on. Getting it off was slightly tricky, but oh, that was easier. So it's got a little indentation in the top as well as in the top of the actual attachment itself, and that's what clips it on. To remove the water filter, there's a little button. You press the little button and that allows the water filter to detach so that you can fill it. Now I haven't any water, as you can see, so I am going to quickly go and fill my measuring cup so that we can figure out how the steamer works. Right, so I've gone and got my water now. I filled it to 100 because I'm not sure how long it's going to take me. Before, we were using a hot iron and then steam from the iron to actually try and get out all of the creases, which didn't work very well at all. So there's this little cap sort of thing here. You just pull that down, and then with your little jug you would fill it. Doesn't fill your machine very much with 100 mils. So there you can kind of make out, there's the max line. So I'm assuming you'd have to do 2, maybe 3 or 4 cupfuls of the measuring jug to actually fill this. So I'll be back in a second. I'm actually going to take the whole jug downstairs and just do it all down in the sink. Right, so I have my little water compartment filled. It took 2.5 of the measuring jugs to fill it up. So now we're just going to connect this back onto the steamer. Right, so the trick to getting this back on, because that was a little bit tricky and I was a bit anticipating that I was going to break it, which thankfully I didn't. The trick is to use the bottom first and kind of wedge that in, and then clip the top, push the button in, clip it down, and the button clicks back in. So it looks right, I'm hoping it's right. And now we're going to read the instructions a bit more and figure out how it works. Just a note, the instructions do say to always ensure that the tank is at least 1/3 full and never to exceed the maximum level. So there isn't actually a minimum sign on here anywhere, but just to make sure it's at least to 1/3 full so it doesn't burn out. It also says at the first time you use it to allow it to steam for 20 seconds to remove any odors that may have been left by the manufacturing process. Once the water is filled to the maximum level and the appliance is connected to the power outlet, allow the garment steamer to preheat before use. Let's plug you in. It may help if we take off this little cord, might be great. Right, so plug you in and hope you don't fall over. Here you go. As you can see, the little light has come on the top there, and it says to also the power button was on now, So we're going to just switch it back on since I switched it off and allow it to preheat. How long for it to preheat, I wonder? This garment steamer has an intelligent automatic power off function. When the user stops operating this product over a certain time, the internal control circuit will be cut off from the power supply, preventing the happening of an accident, as well as it saves electricity, and who doesn't want that? I wonder if that means it's ready. Red light for preheat, blue light mean can open, switch for steam. Right, so it's now blue. So as you can see, I think it's ready to rock and roll. So now what we have to do, check there's ventilation behind the fabric. Sure, it's standing up on my backdrop, it'll be fine. So just in a test, this said to steam for 20 seconds first. So here we go. So it did make a bit of a mess. Once I stopped pressing the button, a bit of water came out, more or less like an iron does. Right, I'm hoping that's the end of the dribbling now, because I'd like to try and steam my backdrop and not have it sopping wet. Right, here goes. Right, so this actually says that you're to pull the garment or whatever you're trying to steam to tighten it a bit. Not quite sure how to do that since I'm using one hand to use the steamer. But like the fact that it's on a backdrop, I'm probably going to pull the backdrop stand over. So I might try and put it downwards with my foot rather and hope that it's going to work. Sure if that's really doing anything. It looks quite the same as before, so I'm going to push stop here for a second and I'm just going to see, I'm going to be sitting here for quite some time and see if I can get some of these creases out. I might just focus on one, but I'm a little bit concerned that I might damage the vinyl, so I'm going to give it a try. I'll see you in a moment. It is concerning me slightly. I don't know if it has made an improvement. You would obviously see, or I would see better in post. But for me, like, it's maybe all right, just because I've never done it, I'm a bit worried to wreck my backdrop. The fact that it is vinyl, I'm not sure if it's meant to work on a vinyl backdrop. So I'm going to put it down and I'm going to try it on one of my material ones. Okay, so this one is a Christmas backdrop that I actually have, and it's a soft polyester fabric. So as you can see, it does have a crease in the middle. I'm hoping it's going to survive since it is quite a thin material, but I'm going to start just on the side just to make sure it's not going to ruin it. So it hasn't ruined the fabric, but I've just noticed that I have like no water left in my little machine. So I'm going to have to fill it again. I may get a bucket at this rate because by the time I'm finished here it could take me all day. So I'm going to just quickly refill my cup again. Okay, I have a full bottle of water, so I'm going to try again. I have filled up my little machine again, so I'm going to give it another go. It's not showing me a red light for preheat. Oh, there, the preheat light is on, as you can't really see. Oh, it's changed already. So I'm going to just steam a little bit first. Now, I did read that it says if you're not using the little attachment for the fabric, that you should keep it at least 5 centimeters away. So I'm just going to do so, and I'm hopefully going to get rid of 1 or 2 of these creases, because I'm not sure if this steamer is actually designed to get rid of creases or if it's just to kind of clean garments. I'm not sure. I'm hoping it's going to work with getting rid of some creases for me. The one thing I will say is the water that's actually in the attachment cup on the steamer itself seems to run out really quickly. So you have to be mindful and keep watching how much water is in your actual steamer to make sure that it's going to be working efficiently the whole time. So the little machine actually vibrates whilst you're using it. That's when the steam is actually coming out. The preheat light does come on and off. I'm not sure if you're meant to stop. If so, then you'd be stopping quite often. So I'm just motoring through and keeping on going. So I've just realized that it has actually made this really wet. I'm not sure if it's just because of the fabric or what it is, but I'm going to give it a rest and hope that perhaps the crease might settle and come out as it dries a bit more. I have also just been giving it a bit of a rub, pulling it tight at the bottom and just giving it a rub to kind of just make the crease seam into the sides as well. I'm hoping it's going to help. Check back in a little bit. Okay, so I have clamped my backdrop in several places, trying to make it tighter. I'm going to try again in steaming. I have noticed that where I did this one, it has actually come out really nicely. It's still quite damp, but at least that harsh line that was there before is gone. So I'm going to continue on the bottom. It's slightly more difficult just because obviously that's lower down and you need to hold the machine upright. So in doing so, it can only go so high. So I might just actually set it that it's sitting on the floor and steam it a little bit and see if it's going to get out the remainder of that crease. That'll be a good sign for us to see if it has actually helped or not, because we can compare with above and below. So what I've actually noticed is that it does settle once it's drying. So I'm going to clamp the backdrop at the bottom as well, which I haven't yet done. And then I'm going to steam it for a little bit and leave it to settle and come back and show you the end result, if it's worked or if it hasn't. So I just want to show you quickly, seems I've done this 100 times now, but I've lifted the backdrop up so that we can see the whole bottom of it. I'm giving you a look at it now before I carry on, and then I'm going to steam it, leave it to dry, and hopefully, since it's pulled tight, all the creases will come out. So hopefully this is the last time we're going to have to do this. So as you can see, it does look quite a bit better. There are still a couple lines here. Now I just got tired of doing it, but I'd say also that, as I said before, I've never used a steamer before. This was my first time using one, and I do think you have to go a little bit closer to the fabric than what I actually did. So towards the end, at the bottom on that side, there was quite a severe crease in the fabric, but I held it a little bit closer, not so close as to actually touch the fabric. I'd say if you use this attachment it would work a heck of a lot better, because you'd be able to get right up as close as you need to be and at least still know that you're not going to damage the fabric itself. So it has worked. It is bringing out the creases. It does look a lot better than it did before. If I continued on, I'd say I would have got the end result that I wanted, but I just had enough. I sat for over an hour in between the little cup in the actual machine itself. So on the steamer, this little cup, when this little cup gets to about a third, which is roughly where it is now, it stops steaming as well as it would if it were full. So it needs one full cup of them to fill it back up to the max line again. That only lasts, that portion is continuous use of 3 minutes roughly. So every 3 minutes I was refilling this little machine, trying to keep it going so that I could try and get them creases out. Now I think having it pulled tighter is definitely the way to go. The fact that I have it clamped in 3 different places as well as on the top has made a big difference. I actually raised the backdrop up, as you can see, so that I could get to the bottom here, but I still can't get the very tips just because obviously I burned my fingers in holding at the bottom as well as steaming there. However, once it's lying on the floor, I'm not going to see it anyway, so I don't really care. The others, this one in the middle has come out quite nicely. It is slightly damp still to the touch, so it may dry a bit more. I might actually just tighten it this evening and see will it dry out a bit better. But you can see there was the severe line here. There was another severe line over there which has also come out. So like in comparison, it looks really much better as to before. So I am quite happy. I think it wouldn't have taken me so long if I had steamed as close the entire time as I did at the end. It would have gone a lot quicker, but I didn't know. And it says 5 centimeters, but sure, I didn't want to destroy my fabric on my backdrop, so I wasn't taking any chances. But in hindsight, would have saved me a lot of time. So that's it. This is the little steamer that I bought off Amazon. Again, it's a garment steamer, but it does the job I need it to. I'm happy out with that. I'm sure it would be great for steaming like my wedding dress as well, which would be fabulous. So all in all, really happy, really good little machine. Only downside is the fact that you have to refill it every 3 minutes, but I've just kept my big bottle. I've used half a bottle in over an hour, and just to keep refilling it really isn't such a bother. If you just stop every few seconds, then you can just top it up and off you go again. You just keep on going. So all in all, like I say, really happy. Really good product, and that's it. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe below to see more.